You could do anything you want. You're probably not going to live your best life. I've spent the last 20 years of my life as a scientist and a professor in the area of human performance.
This is so interesting that you say this.
Everyone has discipline. Everyone has willpower. Strength is a skill.
Lauren got into strength training a few years ago and it's changed her life.
When I get freedom, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Why do most people fail?
Impossible question. You want to look a certain way, right? You all want to feel a certain way.
I would try bear sausage.
Nobody has to spend $1 on a blood panel to ever have huge improvements in their mental health, physical health. None of this is required.
I'm addicted to meditation.
Of course you are. That's my honest and most genuine answer.
Dr. Andy, what would you say to someone that says, I don't have to lift weights?
Well, nobody has to do anything. There are people that live in the mountains in Nepal their entire life and don't move. So you could do anything you want. I think most of us are going to have a substantially better life if you lift weights. But yeah, I mean, you have the legal right to do whatever the hell you'd like. You're probably not going to live your best life. And I probably won't be super good friends with you, but you could do whatever you would like to do.
Okay, for those of you that, or for those that are unfamiliar with your work, that are just getting the introduction to you on this show right now, how do you introduce yourself at this point?
Yeah, I've spent the last 20 years of my life as a scientist and a professor in the area of human performance. And I want to be really careful when I say human performance. It's often thought of as sports. And that's in part because I speak mostly from that tone. That's where I come from. And I work with the world's most high-profile athletes. So we currently and have coached all-stars, MVPs, Cy Young winners, Hall of Famers. The highest contracts in the 4 major sports in America right now are athletes that I coach. But that's not only thing I mean when I say human performance. I mean all of us want to look, feel, and perform at our best. That definition of look is different, right? Some people want to look skinny or it doesn't matter. You want to look a certain way, right? You all want to feel a certain way. Some people want to feel strong. People want to feel in control. People want to feel more free or more, it doesn't matter. You want to feel whatever that is defined to you. And then you want to perform. What's perform mean? You want to make better decisions. You want to be a better leader. You want to have a faster running time. It doesn't matter. And so perform to me is always, I want to help everyone perform at their best in those 3 areas, however they define it. When an athlete comes to me, we're defined by their sport goals. But when any of our clients that are non-athletes that we've coached, and they give me their parameters, my goal is to help you get the same thing done, perform at your best in the things that matter to you. So that's what we mean by it. And that's what we've done for the last 15 years in my lab, and then personally as well.
Okay, if you could wave a wand and maybe the average person that wants to just live kind of their best life, in shape, feel good, look good, all the things, maybe not an extreme athlete, someone that's not at that peak level, but if you could just wave a wand and say, these were the kind of the few things that I would prescribe that I would want for each person as like a base level of health, fitness.
Yeah, impossible question.
And it's a hard question.
Yeah, but we'll go after it. The reason I like to start with sports though is because that anchors us against the extreme. So what would it be like if I had all the resources, if I had all the genetic talent, so on and so forth? Once we understand that gold standard, now we can walk back, right? But without knowing what we're even trying to get to, we have no context. So the only reason I bring up that athlete to answer that question is to say, okay, we can model it off of who have had the most success. What do they do? And now how can I bring that to the everyday person scenario? So if we look at that, what that generally means is people need to have some sort of mental health. Stunning, right? Could be different for all of us, but that is a non-negotiable in one way or the other. Often things that you'll see in the research on that are sense of purpose, sense of community, sense of belonging. There's lots of different things, but it's not my expertise, so I will acknowledge that, and then we'll go ahead and move forward past that. That's one aspect of it. There needs to be some aspect of generally human movement. That can be done in a lot of different ways. If you are in the country and all of your movement is just feeding your horses and doing things like that, that's fine. If you want to be structured exercise, that's fine. But very few of us live our best life with little to no human movement. Once we're moving physically and we're moving and mentally, one way or the other, the big rock is covered in those sense. Then from there, it is almost always about elimination or absence of disease. So you don't want to have cancer. You don't want to have metabolic disease. You don't want to have these things that are actively bringing you down. We call those anchors or performance anchors. So if those are removed, have a mental practice, have a physical practice, and most of us are going to be in a really good spot.
Give an example of what those practices mean to you. Like, is it sauna? Is it cold? Like, what are your things that you go to?
Yeah, that's great. Those are methods. What I'm more concerned about for people are the concepts. So
Okay.
get to a couple of concepts, and then the method you pick is fine. Sauna,
Okay.
great. That is a method to get heart rate very high. It is a method to practice breath control. It is a method to practice discomfort. Sure. I like the sauna. I have one. It's great. I use it all the time. If you hate it, fine. Could you get the same thing done in spin class? Wait a minute. That's not even close. Is your heart rate going to go up? Yeah. Are you going to sweat a ton? Yeah. Are you going to practice? You can actually get many of the same concepts done. So if your jam is the sauna, great. If you hate the sauna, you don't have to be in the sauna. If you hate group activity classes like I do, you don't have to be in those things either. And so that's the framework where we have to go past and say, yeah, we can give tons of method examples, but I like them all. You were joking earlier about you spent a lot of your life on kind of Pilates,
Yeah.
not lifting weights.
Yeah.
If Pilates is your jam, I'm for it. It's kind of limited, but it's not negative, right? So I don't want to remove practices that are effective for people. That's fine. Put it in there. We can put anything on there. You want to ride your bike? Fine. You want to do CrossFit? Fine. Like, I don't really care. Most of us can get a ton of success if we think of the concepts we're trying to get to. And then the methods can be your personal preference. What do you have access to? What can you afford? What's the environment you want to be in? Really easy example of that. Most of my life is servicing the rest of the world, which means someone's coming to me for things. I'm talking to people at all times. When I get freedom, I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. My recovery has to be solo. I want to be in my gym, in my garage, and I don't want to talk to anybody. The phone is not on. I don't want anyone around besides my kids. My wife is the exact opposite. She's home all day doing things, right? But she's not engaging with the world. She's working, but she's not on social media. She's not doing these things. She's not giving her soul to the world like I have to do, right? So when she has her freedom, she wants engagement. So she will leave our house, go train in different studios. She likes group classes. She likes spin classes because she wants to be around other people, other adults. That's her recovery time. So it is the exact opposite for us. It doesn't mean training by yourself is better or the spin class is better, but for her, that's what she needs. For me, that is like the biggest death one can imagine would be in a class like that for me.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is you have to be introspective in knowing what you need to recharge. And that looks different for everyone. For Michael and I, we're on a mic all day long.
Yeah.
Conference calls the same as you. Like when we train, we want to be in a gym alone with a trainer telling us what to do so we don't have to think about it for decision fatigue.
Yeah, we get some shit sometimes in Austin where we live because there's some beautiful gyms over there.
I don't care. I want to be in
it's like a community.
Inside, outside, by myself.
It's a community gym, but for what we do, similar to what you, we're giving energy and interacting all the time. And so when we get those moments, we want to kind of be isolated and alone and not have that community engagement. Does that make that? I mean, you probably relate to it a lot, but I think for people that want that interaction, it kind of seems isolating at times.
Yeah, I think it can help people make decisions faster.
Yes.
Let's bring options off the table, right? And so when we're thinking about, do I do this type of exercise or that type of exercise? Oh, there's so many, I don't know what to choose. Okay, great. Well, let's cut half of them off the list by simply saying, do you want to be around people? Do you want to be by yourself? Okay, great. Now, do you know how to lift weights or do you not? Okay, great. And now we can just use decision trees and don't make perfect be the enemy of good here. So just because you don't know it all, like let's get started somewhere and let's progress after that.
Jumping into a method or maybe a more specific question. Say I come to you as your client and I say, Andy, I want to lose 20 pounds of belly fat.
Yep.
And you have to prescribe the method or a couple methods. Where would you start with someone?
Okay, so in terms of 20 pounds of belly fat, you've got two big levers, exercise and food. My honest answer to you would be you need to know a little bit about that person. You might have all your success with those 20 pounds not doing a single step of exercise. You might have all your 20 pounds of loss without a single change to their diet. Or it can be a combination. I know that feels like a terrible answer for a listener, but I've coached so many people. That's my honest and most genuine answer. If they have a terrible relationship with food, have never had success with dieting, it gives them problems and anxiety, then I might not even bring up food. Like, can we get this done with exercise or the opposite, right? Obviously, in the case of fat loss, nutrition is going to be far easier lever to pull. It is way easier to reduce 200 calories of food intake than it is to burn 200 calories of exercise. Far easier. But first layer there, the decision-making is, okay, what are their pain points? The first question I typically ask that is, have you tried to lose weight before in the past? Answer is almost always yeah. Why'd you fail? tell me, right? And they're going to like actually give you a bunch of shit. And then like you probably have to ask it 3 or 4 times in a row. And then eventually you'll get down to, oh, great. I just burned myself out. I started off really hard. I was training my ass off. And then I just couldn't hang for 3 or 4 weeks. Or it is counting calories drove me nuts. And it was so much anxiety. You're going to get to the answer. And that's going to directly tell you, oh, okay, I'm going to play this side of that equation, right? Or it's, I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making shit up. Great. I like to bucket people into 2 categories. I call them either a baker or a cook.
Okay.
Do you guys know what the difference between cooking and baking is?
Well, isn't baking, you just
Wait,
follow
what's
specific.
cooking?
Oh.
But baking is where you follow specific instructions, right? And you just follow basically the procedure and it's done. Where cooking, you're kind of doing it on the go and on the fly and
right.
adjusting.
So we're actually, well, let's play this game. There's 2 of you right now.
Okay.
All right. So let's just say we left here and I said, boom, I'm going to coach you guys. And we're going to get you both the leanest you've ever been in the next 90 days. And I said, all right, you have one of 2 options. I can tell you exactly what you're going to eat every single day for the next 90 days. There's no deviations whatsoever. You will weigh and measure everything. I'll print that out to you right now, and there's no changing. Or I can say, hey, every week I'll sort of check in. We'll go over some concepts. We'll go some adjustments, and we'll do it that way. Option A or option B? What would you pick?
B.
Okay, right. You're a baker.
Yeah.
And you're a cook. Here's the thing.
No one's ever called me that, Dr. Andy.
If I flipped the script on that, you'd both implode. If I had to coach you, who's a baker, who wants not 8 almonds or a handful of almonds, you want like 8.2. It is, I want actually every single detail. I want it weighed and measured, and I want no guesswork. I don't want to think about it. I want it done for me. And in fact, if I have to make decisions, if it's not specific, I get anxiety because I might make the wrong choice.
Oh, 'cause see that appeals to me too. I'm a Gemini. I don't know. Okay, so
I don't know what that means.
go. It means like it depends if it's like a foods that
I already know
liked.
your answer. You're talking yourself back out of it. Right?
Okay,
I can
go
tell how
ahead. Go ahead.
we have to give you rules.
Okay.
We have to give you boundaries,
Okay.
but you need some freedom.
Yeah, Yeah.
Right? That's the game,
Yeah.
right? Everyone has to have some boundaries.
Yeah.
In the case of a baker, if you're like, baking soda or baking powder, that's close enough either way. No, like that's not how baking works at all. Do you say tablespoon or teaspoon? Like, no, that does not work, right? If I gave you some hard and fast rules, I may say, don't do this, but I may make this up and say, okay, here's the deal. You have to eat every 3 hours. You have to have protein at every meal. And a minimum of you're going to eat 2 pieces of fruit every single day.
That's more me.
Right.
Yeah.
I gave you some rules you have to stick by.
Yeah.
It's going to be some discipline. I just made those up, right? They may or may not be true for you. That doesn't matter. But you also have some freedom and some creativity to live a little bit within that. But I also made some very clear rules. With you, be it not enough, right? And you, if I gave you his, would go, oh my God, like I got to pay all attention. I got to wait. It's not going to work, right? That's how I'm going to coach. Initially, my first line of defense is going, well, how can I even talk to you? How can I get things to you in a way that's going to set us up for success? If I give you a program, by the way, and it's not even the perfect one, I don't give a shit. It's not going to matter. We'll adjust a little bit later, but I need to give you a good example. Like the almond thing is a real example, actually. I coached a girl, world champion, and she texted me one day, was just like, hey, you didn't list how many almonds. You said like whatever I said, quarter of a cup or something. And she's like, I don't know how many to do. And I was like, how many did you eat? She's like, I think I ate 8. And I was like, oh, thank God, not 10. She's like, no, 8. And I was like, oh, okay, we're fine. I was like, totally, that doesn't matter. Right? She was like, oh, thank God, thank God. Like other people I've coached, like 0 chance that's going to happen. So my honest answer to your 20-pound question is I'm trying to figure out who you are a little bit so I can even get us on the right street before I worry about the exact address.
So maybe a follow-up to that is when you work with clients, maybe this doesn't happen with your clients, but for clients that you observe, why do most people fail when they start this pursuit?
Yeah, it's because number one, like we got you on the wrong street. We're not even taking the right path with you, personality-wise.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give them a chance to succeed. Everyone has discipline. Everyone has willpower. But there are certain lanes that you're just going to violate. Right? If I had to eat like you, I'd be in trouble. I need your system. Right? I'm a cook when it comes to things like that, right? My good friend, Dan Garner, opposite. He weighs, like everything is, he will do a 90-day diet ahead of time and like not deviate from the 90 days. I'm like, you're out of your mind. There's no chance, right? So the failure happens in not getting them on the right street. Because within your process, Lauren, you're still going to have to suffer. You're still going to have discipline. You're still going to have to make the choices. You're both going to do that part. It's just, are we in the right environment to succeed? So you got to start there.
When you look at all the labs, what do you see across the board that surprises you?
In terms of blood work?
Yeah.
A number of things will pop out because this is a very long answer as well. In general, the biggest problem we see is the value is not in the blood marker or the urine marker or the stool or the hair marker. It's always in the interpretation and the analysis of that. For people like you, I guarantee you your blood work would come up very normal for the most part. The easiest example I can give you is a marker called albumin. It's probably my favorite blood marker of all time. And almost everyone will look at their albumin. It's on every blood test everyone's ever had done, and they've probably never thought about it because it's always in the normal reference range. But here's why. Albumin goes up and down in response to two things. It only basically goes up in response to dehydration, but it is an acute phase reactant, which means it goes down in the presence of inflammation. So if you were a little bit dehydrated and a little bit inflamed, what's albumin going to look like? Dead in the middle.
It's going to just look like a normal.
It's going to look normal.
Yeah.
And it's also something that's kind of auto-regulated. And so if you start to look at things like that, you're all going to come back normal. However, if I looked at other markers and said, wow, your albumin is normal. However, I see other inflammatory markers are high. I actually know that I can go back, calculate sodium and potassium, and I can look, you're actually also dehydrated. So that was a false sense of you're normal when you're not. This is the exact reason why people have labs done and they're told, oh, you look fine, or you're pretty good, despite that you're like, I'm not performing as well, I'm not recovering as well, I have this brain fog going on, and nothing is jumping off the labs. So the thing that it is the most common thing we see is, yeah, you are within the reference range. You don't have medically diagnosed disease, but you're certainly not performing at your best. And this could be cognitively, this could be physically, recovery-wise, digestion-wise. We can see all this in the blood. And so we're able to, for the most part, tell people exactly what's happening and why, even though their numbers are dead smack, what we call it in the reference range. So the chart that you look at are going to say, hey, you're normal or you're slightly high. But we can tell a lot of information outside of that.
What's the protocol if someone does have a lot of inflammation? What are the things that you give them as tools?
In anything we do, whether it's inflammation or the gut health or the brain fog or they're not recovering or I'm not growing as much as I want, sexual dysfunction, all those things we see 50 times a day, we never cover up the symptom and we never change the marker. So a huge mistake people are going to make is they're going to look at, say, a blood marker, say that inflammation marker in your example is high, therefore I want to take it down. Not the approach. Right? You don't want to look at your lab, say, this is high, I want to take it down. That's low, I want to take it up. That is a huge mistake. You're treating the lab. You're not treating the problem.
So if my friend who I know who maybe is listening has low testosterone, you don't want to take it up?
You don't want to necessarily take testosterone to take it up.
He's saying like you're not trying to solve just for the marker on the lab report.
Got it.
Yes.
I'm with you. Keep going.
So in the inflammatory marker one, testosterone is a very common example. If you want to go the exogenous hormone route, fine, not against it. It's not what we do ever. We've almost never had a problem raising testosterone in people. If you go back and figure out why is your testosterone down? And there could be 1,000 reasons explaining it, but we run back up the chain, figure out why it's happening and solve that problem. Inflammation, I'll give you some direct examples. Fine. I don't want to take an anti-inflammatory. Again, I'm not against them, but I haven't solved the problem. Right. I don't want to take a pain, like that's not what I'm looking at it and going, okay, why is it there? Something's happening. Either something's happening in a liver, something's happening in a kidney, something's happening in the GI tract, something's happening with your habits, your food, something's happening. So we're going to run this story backwards and figure out what is actually responsible for that inflammation, fix that, and then without touching that inflammatory marker at all, we can come back and see, okay, it went back down. Easy example of that, we can look at inflammatory markers that are what we call acute and chronic. So I can see, for example, hey, was that just like yesterday? Did you train really hard? Right? There are creatine kinase is a really easy example. If you both have a bunch of muscle, I guarantee your creatine kinases are generally pretty high. There are other markers called AST and ALT, right? These are coming from muscle and liver. In general, if you have a lot of muscle mass, they come back high all the time. And so you could look at that. I guarantee you your inflammatory markers are really high, both of you, especially because how hard you train, they're going to come back super high. If you take creatine as a supplement, which,
Yeah.
okay, I know these answers, right? Creatine's going to be
Creatine's good for women.
it's phenomenal for women.
Some people don't think that.
But I would look at that and say, okay, your inflammatory markers are really, really high. And some people might go, oh my gosh, you're inflamed. And I look at that and say, you're not inflamed at all, you're jacked. And I know that to be the case. I could, because in this example, I could go look at another marker called cystatin C, right? I could look at that and say, if that's elevated, now we actually know you have issues going on in your organs, because that will not be high in response to exercise or muscle mass. So I can cross-reference what's happening. I do the same thing with the liver and the kidney. There are markers like GGT. And so I can look, is there actual systemic inflammation there? Was it acute, or has it been around a long time? Now I know if it's been acute and I ask you, hey, what'd you do? We were on a plane yesterday. Oh, okay. Or we had any number of things that I go, okay, that's probably what's happening. How do you feel? I feel great. Okay, I'm not worried about this. Do I see systemic markers of inflammation? As in, this has been around for 30 days, 90 days, 120 days. Now I'm going, oh, okay, great. What's happening here? And now we're going to investigate further if it's been around for a long time and whether or not it is still potentially there. So what do? You go back and you find what's causing that thing. And now we're going to look at your nutrition. Now we're going to look at your training. We're going to look at environmental stuff. We do environmental scanners. So we will have a little thing in your bedroom that scans your environment at all times. So we're seeing if there's mold or pollen or dander or allergens and toxins.
What's
and
an
things like that.
environmental scanner?
Now she's going to go.
I
and
need
she's,
that.
now
Where do I
she's-
get that? Is that on Amazon?
And that's not on Amazon.
I want an environmental scanner.
The only way you get that is through our company, Absolute Rest.
How do I do that? Do I just have you guys come out to my house?
No. It just gets sent to you and you can just plug it in. We actually take it on plane flights and with our athletes so that they know what their environment is like in their hotel rooms and things like that.
That's cool.
Wait, so I can actually like buy it from your company?
Kind of. We don't sell that specifically.
Okay.
That's part of our comprehensive
We'll
sleep
talk
program.
offline about
Yeah,
this.
I might need to scan my environment.
Say someone gets a lab report, and we'll stick on the topic of testosterone, and they say, oh,
Yeah.
my testosterone's low, and then they go the hormone route, and they
Yeah.
just, what you're saying is you can do that, but you've maybe not got to the root cause of why it's low in the first place.
I certainly don't want to play endocrinologist. I'm a PhD, not an MD.
Mhm.
Especially in the case, there are very legitimate reasons for testosterone replacement.
Sure.
Like probably most specifically is females in menopause or perimenopause. This very legitimate use of hormones therapies in cases like that. Males going to testosterone, I don't support as often. Again, I'm very, very supportive of it, but there are so many ways to create solutions to that problem that people just are skipping over and going straight to that. And why you got to be careful of that is that's a box you don't get to close again.
Yeah.
So once you make that decision, and we have had so many people come into our coaching program post really poorly designed testosterone.
Mhm.
They've gotten blood labs done from some online thing, gone telehealth, got testosterone, was not managed at all. And then things feel great for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and then they're absolutely in a shithole and then they can't get back out of it. So a well-managed, really supervised hormone thing, I'm fully supportive of, but the testosterone clinics and things like that, be very, very careful with.
Yeah, we've had our good friend Mark Sisson. I don't know if you know
Oh,
him.
yeah,
He
of
came
course.
on, and he, is well into his 60s. He's almost, I think he's 70 now, and he's talked about it, but he waited till he was at that age to start doing it. And we've talked on this show, I think it's dangerous, and I'll just say it, and I'm not an MD or have your credentials, but when you have 25-year-old young guys doing
Very,
this,
very dangerous.
it's not a good idea. And then people ask me, they're like, are you on it? I said, no, I'm not, but there will be maybe a
Sure.
time and place when I'm around Mark's age that I would entertain it. But I just, to your point,
Yeah.
I think it's not the first thing I would go to
We
at
can't
this
be
age.
having you be like Mr. Limp Dick once you hit 70.
Listen, I'm going to be,
I'm gonna have to go
come
for the
out,
pool boy,
I'm going to
bitch.
come out 70 like I'm 18,
The Uber driver with the Christmas tree might be looking good to
But
me.
I think it's important to mention because, and we talked about this on another show, we have a lot of young guy friends that they go and they get their lab reports and it says a little low, and their doctors are so quick to prescribe that stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just pump the brakes and think about that for
I
a
mean,
second.
again, do what you want to do, your own medical advice. It's not necessary at all. It is very, very easy in a number of ways to elevate things like testosterone, generally because people are artificially suppressing it. And so it's the difference between hitting an accelerator versus the analogy I'll give is like people come in, they say like, I want to go faster, this analogy, right? And so in general, your thoughts are, let me put my foot on the accelerator. But the first thing I do is I look at your left foot to make sure that shit's not sitting on the brake. Easier to just get your left foot off the brake.
And can you give us micro examples of what you mean are artificially ruining
terrible sleep?
Got it.
Right? That is by far, and I know this is really cliche, but it is, I'm telling you, people have spent millions of dollars with us at this point. And I'm like, all you got to do is go to sleep. And they do. And they're like, wow, it finally came back up, right? Stunning. So it is boring to hear, I know, but trust me, it is hyper effective. There can be things that like micronutrient deficiencies. Maybe the easiest way to explain this is we generally think about things as hidden stressors or visible stressors. Visible stressors are things you see and feel. This is your bad sleep. You know you're drinking alcohol. This is everyone on the podcast says the same 5 sort of things that you're tired of hearing. They're all true. You don't lift weights. Your diet is terrible. All that is there. Then there is the hidden side of the equation. This could be micronutrient insufficiencies. It could be a pathogen you have in your body that is subclinical. So you're not going to actually see this being diagnosed in a medical condition. It could be something in your environment, a toxic load. Those things are real. We see them all the time. They absolutely can be contributed. You know what's actually a big one for erectile dysfunction? There's actually 2.
Taylor, listen up.
That jump off the charts here. Hydration. Funny enough.
Have you had any water today? Any smart water?
This guy hates water back there.
Oh, he never drinks water.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I'm gonna.
No wonder you're flaccid.
I'm gonna chug a bottle of water right now, literally.
Wait, okay, on this topic.
Total blood volume matters. If your blood volume is small, you don't have blood to fill it up.
Yeah, Taylor, you can't drink Diet Coke from Panda Express expect to stay hard.
I listened intensely, and I actually took notes when you and Andrew Huberman did that. You guys talked about proper hydration. I mean, I think you did a whole episode on hydration, maybe, or was it a whole?
We spent a lot of time.
Long
on
time.
It, yeah.
We don't have that much time, but if you could prescribe proper, like, just a fundamental, proper way to hydrate throughout the day.
It's idiot proof. Your urine should be not crystal clear. It doesn't look like it came off of the great glacier at, pure ice. But it shouldn't be yellow either. If you can get to somewhere in the middle, where most people are probably close, the numbers we'll give you is 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. You weigh, let's say, 180 pounds, you should drink around 100 ounces of water per day. You weigh 150 pounds, 75 ounces, like plus or minus.
And how many is that in cups as far as glasses? Because that's going to be the most common thing.
It's like if you can't look at the water bottle that literally says 20 ounces of water, Taylor, we got bigger problems.
I'm going off of like a lot of people use that reference. If you're supposed to eat 8
people who don't want
glasses
to
of water a
execute
day.
ask too many questions like a forever student.
How dare you interrupt my show with a math equation, Taylor?
Yeah.
After all these years.
Can I make it easier for poor Taylor?
Yes.
Just wake up in the morning and make sure you have 40 ounces in front of you.
He's never done that in his life. So confused.
Well, see, I'm looking at this water right now. This is 500 milliliters.
So for
I'm
me,
like, what?
Okay, can you do basic math? Can you Google the conversion between milliliters to ounces?
He can't do
Gary,
it.
you can.
Yes, I
Right?
can.
But you can also see in the bottle.
Okay.
It's going to say 20 ounces, and it's going to say, look at that in milliliters right next to it, about 500 or so.
So let's say for me, using my weight, about 175 pounds.
Yeah.
If I had 3 32-ounce bottles of water throughout the day,
we're in the universe here.
that's roughly what I should be doing. That's
Sure.
like 96 or whatever.
We can
that
get
is.
far more scientific than that, but you don't have to be perfectly hydrated. You just don't want to be terrible.
Okay, and you don't want to drink, you don't want to chug all of that right away. You want to slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if you want to wake up in the morning. Like someone like Taylor, I would probably just do that, right? Let's start in the morning. You're not doing anything until we get 20 ounces of water in you, just to get started. It's not the optimal way, but we're going to get a habit going there. I'd probably put an alarm clock on that bitch. I would put it like, we're going to have an alarm go off at 7, 12, and 3, and you're going to chug 20 ounces.
Dr. Andy,
times.
do you want to hear
But hold on.
about this alarm clock that Taylor has? Tell him about your alarm clock.
I've distanced myself from the alarm.
He used to have an alarm clock because he couldn't wake up. So we've known Taylor since we were 12 years old, and he's worked with me in every business I ever had, and he's been the producer of the show forever. And I could never get a hold of this guy. He'd always be sleeping. And so he created an alarm clock that would not go off unless he solved a complex math equation.
Which you can't even do.
He couldn't solve the
water.
math equation, so he couldn't get it off. Anyways, long story short. But also, Taylor got back into weightlifting. Tell him how important proper hydration is in terms of muscle building and weightlifting as well.
There's actually evidence, specifically in women, from looking at slight dehydration as low as 2% can explain a handful of catabolism in older women. What that means is being underhydrated will lead to loss of muscle mass as women age. So it's very, very important. There's also extensive evidence on mood, cognitive function, sexual health, sexual performance, sexual desire, all of these things with even, again, 1% to 2% dehydration. So you ask about strength training, like we can certainly get into that, but I actually want to go back to answer the erectile dysfunction
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
question,
please
because
do.
hydration was one of it. There's really good evidence on circadian rhythms, and there's data on shift workers that show around a 9.5-fold increase in erectile dysfunction in shift workers.
Wow.
Now, if that is in folks that have shift work combined with sleep apnea, in those that don't have it without the sleep apnea, it's still like a 4 to 5x increase in erectile dysfunction.
Well, those are big numbers.
Huge, right?
That's interesting because Taylor loves staying up really late.
I do. Yes, I do.
Huh. That
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense.
If you guys know Lauren and I, you know we're always on the lookout for ways to strengthen our immune system, our gut health, improve our fitness and metabolism, enhance our skin, nails, hair, all the things. This is why we love Armor Colostrum so much. A while back, we did an episode with the founder of Armor Colostrum on this podcast. If you just search Armor Colostrum Skinny Confidential, that episode will pop up. I highly suggest you listen to it. But for those that don't go back and listen, you've probably heard all about Armor Colostrum by now. It's been the best kept secret of industry insiders for a while, but the word is now finally getting out, and for good reason. Armor Colostrum is everywhere these days, and when I first heard about it, we thought it was almost too good to be true. Thousands and thousands of people reporting absolutely transformational health benefits, including yours truly, and tens of thousands of 5-star reviews and life-changing stories. We can now confirm this stuff delivers. Armor Colostrum is going to help you seal all of the barriers of the body, not just the gut. Whether you're looking to strengthen your immune system and optimize your whole body microbiome and strengthen your immune barriers, this will help with that. If you want to fortify your gut health, this will also help with that, which will enable you to combat bloating and feel lighter. It will also ignite your metabolism. It can help you vitalize hair growth and fuel performance and recovery. The way Lauren and I take it is every single morning we wake up and we actually just take a scoop of the colostrum powder in our mouth directly. It tastes almost like a milk dud. Or if you don't want to do that the way we do it, you can also dump it in water or whatever beverage you're having in the morning. We start and end our days with it. We've worked out a brand new special offer for our audience. Receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to tryarmor.com/skinny or enter skinny to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's tryarmor.com/skinny. Tryarmor.com/skinny. Lauren and I spend a lot of time on this show interviewing people to help us live and feel better. We hope that this audience gets that information and applies it to their own life. This is why we love talking about Branch Basics. We have had the founder of Branch Basics on this show twice now to talk all about cleaning up the cleaning supplies in your house. One of the greatest hormone disruptors or things that is causing health issues are these unnatural chemical supplies that we keep in the house. Many people keep these unnatural chemical supplies in the house because they either don't know better or because there's some kind of nostalgic reason for keeping them. I can tell you, since we have made the change to Branch Basics, everything in our life's improved. We have more energy, more focus. We feel better. Our kids feel better. I'm not stressed about breathing in unnatural substances in our life. And at first, trust me, I was skeptical. For those that listen to this show, you know I'm typically the skeptic. And when Lauren made the change in our house, it made such a huge difference that I have basically been forced to not be a skeptic at all now when it comes to these cleaning supplies. I've noticed immense changes and immense differences in my personal life. And now whenever I'm around these chemical supplies, since I've done this detox and gotten them out of the house, it absolutely disrupts my system. It's one of those things where a fish is swimming in a fish tank and doesn't realize the water is dirty. If you can clean with a better alternative, why wouldn't you? Their premium starter kit replaces all of your harmful cleaning products in the home, and Branch Basics now has a new luxurious gel hand soap made with only the safest ingredients to nourish your skin. Save 15% on your starter kit or their new hand soap when you use code SKINNY at branchbasics.com. Again, that is code SKINNY for 15% off when you purchase a starter kit or their new gel hand soap. Just go to www.branchbasics.com and use code SKINNY. Quick break to talk to anyone who is currently renting. Listen up, renters. Ever feel like you're stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air? It's time to turn that rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. At some point in time, we have all been there feeling like we're burning cash with those rent checks. It can be so frustrating, but here's the deal. Built Rewards has figured out a way to make rent more rewarding. Say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with Built. So what is Built? Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent every month. Pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them toward a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Bill points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. And of course, we have an incredible offer. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/skinny. That's joinbilt.com/skinny. Make sure you use our URL so they know we sent you. That's joinbuilt.com/skinny to start earning points with your rent payments today.
You know what's weird, Dr. Andy, is since I started working, I know this is weird, on my circadian rhythm, light and dark at night, my hormones, I can feel like it. Is that weird?
No, it's not weird at all.
I can feel my body like physically crave it.
It is very established physiology at this point, and a handful of different scientific areas are all going to support that. There is really strong evidence on if you take people and put them at the exact same caloric diet, and you put one group at, say, 7.5 hours of sleep. So not like a crazy 9 hour, like a general normal person who's sleeping okay. Compare that to 4 or 5 and 5.5. There's been different trials at different numbers here of sleep. You will see marked increases in fat loss in those that are sleeping the 7.5 hours compared to those that are sleeping the 5.5 hours. So we change nothing with their diet, but we increase their sleep, fat loss, VO2 max improve, in addition to hormone health, things like that. So I'm getting the hormone question brought that up because if you think about what's going to happen there in the case, there are a handful of hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which control your feeling of fullness and hunger. We know those very specifically are altered with changes in sleep. That is one of the reasons why people will choose to eat more calories when they're underslept. You'll make worse nutritional choices when you're underslept. So when you're making comments about your other hormones feel different, not only do we not think that's weird. Again, we have tremendous evidence that there's a huge hormonal burden, very specifically cortisol and blood glucose dysregulation as well. I can't remember the exact numbers, but there's a massive increase. I can't remember. It's a huge increase in type 2 diabetes risk in folks who don't sleep properly. Glucose dysfunction. Glucose dysfunction means your mood and energy are going to be fluctuating throughout the day. Your mood and energy, your cortisol, like all of this is now tied into your anabolic hormones, your sexual hormones. Like all this is the same package. So I would say not only is that, again, not weird the third time, I would say it would be weird as shit if it didn't do that.
Yeah, it's when I wake up, my body's like immediately like scrape my tongue, get outside.
Yeah.
That's the list. I want to get right outside to get that sunlight. And then I even notice as the sun's going down now, I want to be outside.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make sure my kids, and maybe you can talk more on this, I can't think of a worse thing to do with children. And I'm not trying to shame anyone. I'm just saying to wake up in the morning and put them in front of the TV. I feel like that is the opposite of what we should be doing with our children. I try to immediately get them outside. Get out, sit with me, do like a little facial massage, whatever it
Run
is.
in the grass a little bit.
But getting them outside to me is my number one priority with my kids.
That's really hard for a lot of people. If you live in an apartment building, things like that, and you got a 2-year-old and you got to get them down, it's just not feasible for a lot of folks. Understand that. We don't put our kids in front of a TV very often, and certainly not in the morning. My 4-year-old son also wakes up and he's pretty sure there's 1,000 demons or pirates or something running around my house because his sword is going nuts. He's killing things. Like he's on a terror.
Me and your son do the same thing in the morning.
Yeah, he's a tornado when he wakes up. So the last thing I want to do is actually take that out. We do the opposite. Like Natasha, lots of times will be like, "Hey, go run some laps. Like just go sprint. Like get the heck out of here. We need to burn gas out of that kid because he's just going to break something in the house." So that, in addition, I grew up in the country, which means you're going to be taking the dogs out. You're going to be feeding chickens. You're going to be doing something like that first thing in the morning, almost always before you eat. So my kids don't know any different than that. Like that's just take care of the animals, get all that stuff done, and then we take care of our house. That's what we do. So I also did want to recognize that's really hard for a lot of folks. So
I think it doesn't have to be overly complicated. We're in a hotel for 2 weeks right now, which is like, a hotel with 2 kids. It's crazy. And I think like just even if you like.
And you're still married? Wow. Good.
This morning, I don't know about after this morning.
I don't think she got her morning sunlight. The hormones might have been a little off this morning.
I'm on my period.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. So I just like, even if I can just open the door to the hotel and just have them sit in the doorway, it's something.
Yeah.
It's something is better than nothing. Yeah. But the TV, like I whenever he puts the TV on, I'm like, there's no TV in the morning.
Before I want to spend a good portion of this on muscle health and building and hypertrophy and all that, because I think it's relevant and who better to ask. But one thing I want to ask, from all the labs and blood work you've seen, and this topic comes up on the show all the time: diet, the proper diet, the right diet. What do you see to be maybe an optimal diet? And I know that's going to change individually, but what kind of elements do you hope to see people incorporating into their diet to get optimal brain health?
So we want to think concepts and methods again. So what are the kind of concepts that are almost always true for most people? And then recognizing there are a billion different methods to get there. When you asked the 20-pound question earlier, my brain went to the answer I gave you specifically because I was thinking, how can I get you the right concepts? And then I'll almost let you pick the methods.
Mhm.
So if you like to go high carb, low fat, fine. If you like to go low carbs, high fat, fine. That's a methods question. Not the exact same, but fundamentally, that will not be the thing that determines our success for most people. So what are those core concepts? There has to be some sort of caloric control. Counting calories is not the only thing that matters. The practice of counting calories doesn't work for a lot of people. Fine. That's not what I'm trying to say, but there has to be some caloric balance. If it's too low, and we see this in female athletes especially, is a huge problem. We have actually seen this a lot with brain fog. We've seen this a lot for sexual dysfunction. Calories are just way too low in men.
If they're not if they're just not eating enough.
Too low.
Mhm.
Okay, so calories are going to play some part of our equation. Number two, that's quantity, by the way. It's the quantity of food. Number two, the quality of our food, right? Now, do we have to have full organic thing? We've had success without it. If that's a barrier to you financially, or fine, I can live with or without that, but we want high quality foods. What's that mean? Nutrient density. If you want to go vegan, fine. Not my choice, not what we outwardly recommend, but we can have success there. Like, that's not the stuff that matters. If you generally
Quickly though, why would that not be your choice, and why would you not recommend? Just because, and
the overwhelming majority of the days, my family and I are going to eat something that I harvested myself.
You want to send us some? How do we get some of your meat? Where are you getting this meat?
Careful how you're asking that question.
she's asked more aggressive questions on the show. At this point, I'm immune to it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. Well, I mean, come to my house. There's one. But what you can do if you want, I buy a ton of meat from Maui Nui.
I love Maui Nui.
Yeah.
Love.
It's the
Wait,
most
I've never
fantastic
bought
thing.
meat there though. I've only bought their jerky.
The jerky sticks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a case of jerky sticks at my house. We have a handful
That's what
of
we travel with when we go on planes. Just
Yeah.
jerky sticks.
Yeah. No, but they sell everything. Hurry, because I think they're almost sold out, like permanently. So I wouldn't wait.
Like forever.
Yeah, no,
Well,
they
if
do.
you and Atia would stop talking about it on every fucking podcast.
Sorry. They do like a subscription model, and once those are full, then you can't get in until somebody gives away their subscription.
Okay.
But
that's
it's
good to know.
incredible. It's wild harvested deer.
Okay.
It's axis deer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Go
I've been out there. I shot 5 myself,
Cool.
and I have
Because there's an overgrown population. and
yeah. They have to kill like 15 or 20,000 a year just not to ruin the island of Maui. So
yeah, because it's
they're
overrun.
invasive. Yeah, they're all like all the way. There's a 4 Seasons golf course, and the deer are all the way down on the golf course into the highway. So they keep getting hit by cars and hurt people. So they're also eroding half of the mountaintop. So it's falling into the ocean. So if they don't kill, I think the number was 15 to 20,000 a year. The population in a couple of years will be up to 250,000. There's already like 50,000 of them or something there, maybe even more. It's insane. So
It's like the hogs in
So
Texas.
so you like
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your own family a meat-based diet because
Nutrient density.
nutrient density, I feel tremendous on it. Natasha feels tremendous on it. High quality. And because one of the other concepts we have to get to is we've almost always got to be at least a moderate to high protein diet. You can get protein lots of different ways, but obviously meat is a great way to get there.
And for people that struggle to get enough protein, because I feel like this overwhelms people.
It is. It is the hardest macronutrient by far. If you randomly survey people and track them, you will see they are stunned how low their protein intake is, and they are stunned how high their fat intake is.
But is it fair to say that if most people got 100 grams of protein per day, that would satisfy most people's needs, or is that too low still?
Okay, so the number we would ideally go for is about 1 gram per pound. Okay, of body weight.
Mm.
So for you, that's 170 pounds. For you, that's slightly less, of course, marginally less, a lot less.
yeah.
Wherever
What do
you're
you
at,
mean
sorry.
like half? Like come
Half,
on,
sorry,
yeah.
be careful.
120 or so, something like that. The reality of it is, if you can get 80% of the way there, you're probably okay. You don't need to weigh and measure every day, but what you should do is probably weigh and measure for 2 weeks. I just want you to be roughly aware of what getting to 80 feels like, getting to 90 feels like, or 60 or wherever we have to be there, especially as you age. That becomes a real problem. There's a thing called anabolic resistance, which means as you age, you can become more resistant to anabolic stimuli, which means you have to have more protein intake or more strength training to have the same anabolic or muscle growth, or at least muscle maintenance response. And so the evidence, I think, at this point is quite clear that aging populations, this is generally defined as like mid 50s or higher, need even more protein intake than just about anybody else.
So you might as well get used to doing it
So
now when
just
you're
get
young.
it super high. There's no real strong rationale ever to be low on protein. Like,
You know
So
what
say-
else is my favorite protein thing? Lineage provisions.
I've never had it before. I'm not sure.
It's like each bag has 60 grams of protein. I feel like you would like it.
Oh, yeah. Organ
And-
blend. Yeah.
And this is so weird, but they, this is really weird. They sculpt my jaw because they're really hard to
They're
chew.
chewy.
Oh, chewy. Yeah.
So wait, okay, but just to get very specific,
I'll stick with the Maui Nui ones
The
because
Maui
those
Nuis
ones are super easy. to eat.
phenomenal.
I literally eat them by the case.
To get specific with people here, like say you just wanted to get 100 grams of protein, and I know some people are going to need more, but what would a couple meals look like?
Yeah. I mean, it can be as simple as I'll kind of just run you through.
Maybe breakfast, lunch, dinner.
We're pretty similar, actually. So I'm about 170, 75 pounds ish, and my wife is about 130 pounds. Like, so it's a pretty similar. I'll just kind of run you through what we do.
Yeah.
As an example, just what we do. Caveat, caveat, caveat. Okay, I'll give you some actual numbers now. So we're gonna have some meat in the morning. A lot of the times that's some elk, or right now we've been eating a lot of bear sausage.
What's bear sausage?
It's a bear,
I've heard
Lauren.
a lot.
It's a bear.
It is a bear.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's delicious.
I would try bear sausage.
Why wouldn't you try it?
I've never heard of bear sausage. This is
Just
the
make sausage. You can make sausage out of anything.
first-
It's fantastic.
Wait, how do you even buy bear sausage?
I wouldn't know how to buy it.
So you found a bear and hunted the bear.
Yes,
This is kind of badass.
that's what I do.
So you found a bear,
I did find it.
you
yeah.
got the bear, and then you made sausage.
Okay, you're kind of blowing up my spot a little bit
Go
because
ahead.
I'm lying a little bit. In reality, it is my dad and brother each found and shot and killed the bears,
Okay.
and I got skunked on that trip. So I came home with nothing. I ate what we call tag soup, which
What's
means
tag soup?
like it's the hunter way of saying you have to buy a hunting tag for
Okay.
your bear. And since I did not harvest a bear successfully, the only thing I had to eat personally was my tag.
Got it.
It's a-
Okay,
it's a
so
dumb
go
hunting joke.
ahead on
Because you
that.
can't just go randomly kill. You have to.
You have to.
get,
That's a whole
Go, I
thing,
need you to
yeah.
start from the beginning because I need to put this as a TikTok clip. So go ahead. So start over. You start with your elk and your bear sausage. Go ahead.
Some sort of meat sausage. If you want to do bacon or you don't want meat at all, fine.
eggs.
But we're going to have that with a bunch of eggs,
Okay.
right? We're also going to put probably a cup of egg whites in to just bring protein up while keeping calories a little bit
How many
lower.
yolks will you eat if you have a full? Like, well, how many full eggs will you eat?
So I'm probably going to eat 3 full eggs or so with a half a cup of egg white.
Okay.
But we're going to make this in a giant pan together because myself and the 2 kids and Natasha
Sure.
are all going to eat sort of the same thing.
Okay.
There. And so right out the gates, I'm probably already at 25 grams, if not higher, probably closer to 30, to be honest.
Mhm.
Natasha's going to eat a smaller serving size. She's going to be at 20. And the kids are going to be slightly lower than her, but not much, probably around 15 each, right? So I'm going to be packing 30 at minimum there. Then we'll have some starch at that point. So this could be a little bit of potatoes with the breakfast. It could be some other Ezekiel bread or like some other thing that we're going to have depending on like what the kids want to do. And then mixed berries, some sort of fruit, depending on the season. We're going to change it up there. So that's going to go breakfast. I do best personally, having tried a lot of different things with smaller serving sizes, but that's a negotiable. If you want to eat 1 meal a day, you can have success. So meal frequency is one of those methods things. It's not a fundamental concept. You don't have to eat a certain amount of time. If you like to eat a big breakfast in the morning, fine. If you like to not eat breakfast in the morning, fine. We've actually run different studies in my lab. It doesn't seem to matter a whole lot as long as total protein intake throughout the day is there, then the way you like to break up your meals is fine. I've just found I personally feel best smaller meals more frequently. Natasha is probably going to eat closer to 3, like more specific meals. I'm definitely going to eat 6 plus throughout the day. Even if we equated our calories, I just like to eat pretty often and smaller meals. I feel better like that. So a couple of hours later, I'm going to then definitely have venison. I'm going to have for sure Maui Nui jerky sticks. maybe even some cheese and nuts, something like that. So it's a higher fat protein.
How many?
How many? I'm probably going to eat 2 jerky sticks, which is about 18 grams
Okay.
in there with, I don't know, an ounce of cheese or something. So now I'm crossed the 2022 mark, something like that.
And at this point, you're at like 50.
I'm probably at 50 already, and it's, 9:30 in the morning because I get up pretty early. So second feeding there. Lunch is going to be, we always make dinner the night before, double the portion and have it again. Send the kids to it. Yeah. So smart. She just said, because you guys didn't hear that. We do that, right?
Really smart.
We also do not, again, no judgment. We do not make separate food for our kids. Like they
eat what you eat.
They eat what we eat. And so like if you ask my kid about eating a bear, she'd just be like, yeah. Like she wouldn't know it's weird at all. She's just like, of course.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish Michael would go kill a fucking bear. Jesus.
Well, it sounds like you're in for an upgrade here.
Get a life, Michael.
Seriously.
I've been fully emasculated.
Yeah, that's all right. You're more jacked than I am, so you beat me.
I don't know.
He doesn't kill a
I
bear.
haven't got a bear yet.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Your arms are definitely bigger, so tomato, tomato. All right. So lunch is going to be some sort of. Can you be quiet, please? So
Sorry, I can't get over now. I can't get over not killing
that we
a bear.
don't have bear sausage.
I'm just like I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, no, you're out of it. Lunch is going to be a very high vegetable and protein intake. So this is another serving of meat. This could be any number of things: chili or stew, or a chicken breast, or who knows whatever we've made there. But it's going to be a 6 to 8 ounce serving size of meat for me. About a 5 to 6 for Natasha. The kids are going to be, probably in the 3 ounce range. They're pretty small. So now I've packed on another 25 to 30, pretty easy. Natasha's done another 20 on top of it. So I'm clearly past the 80 mark at this point. Full plate of vegetables, most likely. We have a lot of variety in our color, in our serving size, or in our amounts and types and things like that. She uses a ton of variety. And then there'll be some sort of fat source. This could be avocado. It could be a cheese. It could be maybe some other sauce she's made. It could be, if we're doing like a salad, it's going to be a dressing or whatever
Oil or whatever
she's made. Yeah, oil, just some things like that. Depending on what we're doing, we may or may not have a starch there. I'm probably not going to have a ton of starch at lunch, personally. Even though I'm going to train in the afternoons, she trains in the morning. So she's going to go out first thing. So she'll have breakfast, go train, come back. And so she'll sometimes have more starch in lunch than I will because she's, just coming off of a 90-minute training session for the most part. Then I'm going to have another snack that's going to be similar to my AM snack in the afternoon. It could be a double protein shake, which is going to put me at 40 plus again right there. So 2 scoops, like snack, and then I'll go train, something like that. Could be yogurt with berries or something like that I'll go after, again, depending on kind of what I'm doing or what's around. If there's more just food laying around, depending on what was finished with lunch or not, like I'll just maybe eat lunch again, basically, or a super small version of that. And then dinner is going to be what I just said, because it's the same sort of lunch, but almost always a starch. And we have a huge variety of the starches that we're going to pick from.
And starches are important at dinner to help you sleep better. Is that correct?
It can do a number of different things, but we have actually almost always found that it is going to enhance recovery, again, because I train in the afternoons, and almost surely will enhance sleep.
Okay, and so if people start to, so maybe for people that have not been getting the protein and they hear this, it sounds overwhelming, but if they start to get the proper protein intake, what are some of the things you think that they will notice when it comes to recovery, workouts, and like all of the, like what does proper protein intake do?
Yeah, so remember, you have short and long-term health. Your long-term health, that's a very easy answer. Any number of studies or styles of studies are going to equate this to successful aging, right? But in the shorter and more acute sense, you have a handful of things. Number one, protein is pretty good at satiation. It makes you feel full longer. So your cravings, your bad choices go down. So if weight control or weight management is important to you, high on protein is a very effective strategy to keep your overall food volume or eating down. Number two, it has a high thermal effect of food. What that means is when you eat carbohydrates, fat, or protein, and even if you eat 10 calories of each, just to make the numbers equivalent, in your actual digestive process, it takes more work to break down protein. So you will burn more calories breaking down protein than you will breaking down fat.
Wow.
Specifically. That releases energy. That's called a thermal effect, right? So it releases some heat there. And so this is when like people get confused with the calorie counting thing, because if you had a high amount of calories from protein or a high amount of calories from fat or carbohydrates, it's not necessarily going to have the same equation because you're going to burn more energy just breaking those things down. I violated some science there, but it's close enough for the average person here to kind of understand. This means you can actually go pretty high on protein, and it has very little effect on your fat. It's hard to gain a bunch of fat eating a ton of protein.
You know what's weird? I have this theory that eating a lot of protein, for me, it's a lot of meat.
Yep.
And lifting weights does the same thing that Ozempic does. Because to
Oh,
me,
totally.
it
Super similar mechanisms,
helps
actually.
with your insulin levels.
Yep.
And it keeps you satiated so you don't eat a ton.
Yep.
Is that correct?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it literally, in terms of if you actually look at the molecular mechanisms, there is a relationship between those two things, right? So we're going to regulate very similar pathways between those two strategies. So the protein is going to do all that. You've seen there that kind of finishing our story, that's how I've got to my 170 pretty quickly, which is not particularly hard. If I'm a little bit lower, a little bit higher, like
You've made it a habit too. What I like about what you're doing, which I'm really inspired by, is you've ingrained the protein into a daily habit lifestyle. So your children are seeing it. It's a family meal. You know what you're doing. You guys know that you're having dinner for later for lunch. Like I like how you've done it because it takes away the decision fatigue. It's smart.
I joke on the show too because I say sometimes like the gym bros have known things that maybe other people haven't known for a while. And
yeah.
like for me in the past, whenever I would get sugar cravings and know I was going to go into some, like if I was going to open the pantry and get an ice cream or whatever, if you have a protein shake
it's
before
over.
that, you don't want it anymore.
It's over.
You just load it with protein. All of a sudden you don't want the sugar anymore. And so I think like people that get those cravings continuously, if you start to supplement in more protein, you won't want the other stuff.
When I travel, I always start the day with a double shot of protein.
Will you just put it in water?
Yeah. Just a
blend
protein
it?
shaker. Yeah, Hunter, just shake it up in your protein
Smart.
shaker.
I brought one of those little, I ordered from Amazon, one of those
he's
little
obsessed with
Ninja
this.
individual protein
Oh,
blenders.
yeah.
I ordered a bunch of protein so that if you've seen it, we're in the hotel, like each morning I start with like 20, 40 grams of the protein.
Yeah,
and
I mean, you're 40 grams right out the gates, and now you're not going to, when you're down there at the hotel breakfast, it's sort of like, okay, fine, you want the pastry, great, but you're not going to do the pastry and the waffle.
you just don't want it.
And like you want it, but you're just like, all right, I'm good.
I'm now eating protein before I drink my coffee, and then I have my coffee with raw milk that has protein in it, where I used to drink coffee on an empty stomach. What's your thought on that?
I don't like it personally, but there's nothing physiologically or scientifically wrong with coffee on an empty stomach.
Okay.
I don't think there's any concerns there. I hate it. I'm not a big stimulant guy though. But again, other people, my buddy Dan, like for sure is going to do a 800 grams of stimulants in the morning. They're like caffeine intake with nothing in his stomach and then go train. So
What is your opinion on people using Ozempic?
okay, really tough to be fair here in a short answer. In general, we have an enormous number of people who are going to die very early and suffer a lot strictly because of obesity. Nothing we've done thus far has helped. Basically, we have failed perfectly. And so when you look at situations like that and you realize those medications are going to save a ton of lives and sufferings, it's hard to think that those are pure evil. If it makes any difference to you, this is just my personal life. My mom has probably lost 100 pounds on it. Now she's lost a lot of muscle with it and there's other problems. But on the aggregate, I think she's going to live longer because of it. Right now, the goal is to say, okay, now you've lost this weight. Can we eat more protein? Can we work backwards? But one thing I learned in dealing with my family over the years is to not kill motivation with information. And I know this because I ran into this wall for 25 years. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Carbs aren't evil and like all these things. And then they wouldn't change and nothing would happen. And so a handful of years ago, I just decided I'm going to stop. Whenever they bring something to me, if they're motivated to make a change, I was just going to support them. Even if the change was not great. Fine, great, do it. And it led to both of my parents losing a substantial amount of weight and have kept it off for a very long time. And they yo-yo up and down a little bit, but they're down 100 and then now they'll yo-yo up and down 20 or whatever the case is. I want to move her forward in a better direction, especially because of that. But so my answer to the Ozempic or any of those medications questions is my friends that are in that field, obesity scientists, obesity physicians, okay, like those numbers are pretty impressive. Now, personally, I don't find it intellectually interesting. Like I don't want to do it. We don't use it at all ever in my coaching practice, even though we could. I don't have any interest in doing it. I think you're probably going to extend millions and millions of lives with it. So
Okay.
I don't hate it as much as I generally hate things like that.
If I came to you as me right now and I was like, I want to get in the best shape of my life,
Let's go. Now this is way more interesting.
like the craziest shape ever.
Yeah.
Would you have to like test my blood?
Yes.
Oh, come on. There's nothing else I can do. I can't with blood
Literally,
test.
there is no possible way to improve your health or fitness without blood.
Can I do a spit test, a
No.
hair test,
No,
a pee test?
no. There is.
I would rather do a shit
It is
test.
physically impossible to improve muscle mass and health in any way without taking blood.
How much blood?
Can you tell I'm being extremely facetious at this point?
How much
Fine.
blood?
He's
Just tugging your chain.
Oh,
a
you're
little.
joking.
Totally
Okay. So you could do it without blood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, think about it. People have been getting ripped and jacked for hundreds of thousands of years without a single blood test.
I don't want a blood test.
Let's stay on this topic.
Okay, so my
The
question
do's
is,
and don'ts of strength
No,
training.
I
Let's
think-
start there.
well, I think that what I'm asking is like, I feel like I'm in a really good rhythm with what I'm doing, but if I
Right.
came to you and I was like, let's go crazy,
Yeah.
what would you do with me?
Okay, you want to know the whole crazy breakdown?
Yeah.
This is what we do. I have an entire company called Rapid Health and Performance. This is all we do, right? Not everyone wants to go crazy like that. Some people are like, I just got to start. Fine. Where
I want to go
be.
berserk.
You want to go berserk? No
Yeah.
problem. Like, we're going to play games here. I want to know every single thing that's going on or in your body.
Okay.
I want to know how all that is processed and managed.
Okay.
And then I want to know how all that returns out of your body, right? So here's what that means. We're going to start with, I'm going to take hair, urine, stool, saliva, blood, and sweat.
Ugh.
I want to know where you get your water from. I want to know what type of makeup you use, where your toothpaste came from. I want to know what's in your bedroom. I want to know everything that goes on or in your body. I want to know how that all makes you feel. We're going to ask subjective questions about your digestion, your energy, your confidence. We're going to do breath testing. We're going to do performance testing. We're going to look at your aerobic capacity, aerobic efficiency, your physical strength, your mobility. You're going to have all of these things analyzed of how you're looking, feeling, and performing. We're going to do advanced scanning with a technology called Springbok. This is a full body MRI. This is not for cancer diagnosis. With that, we can get a three-dimensional outline of every single muscle on your body. And so I want to know, is your left triceps individually bigger than your right triceps groups? Not as a group, but in individual muscles within all three of them. We want to see the entire chain. You're going to have psychological evaluations. We're going to have down regulation evaluations. We're going to have overall understanding of everything you eat, how much and when and where did it come from. All of those data and many, many, many more data points
This
are
is a
brought together.
full-time job. How do you get, okay, how long does this take to get all in?
Somewhere between 30 and 60 days.
Okay, so it's like a collection over time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not just a one-time shot as well.
Got it.
We want to see how these things are happening when you're on the road, when you had a good day. I want to see everything about what do those data look like when you're on your period? What do those look like when you weren't?
This is a lot of tracking.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can
No.
I have
You wanted to
someone
go berserk, Lauren.
You
Can I
wanted
have
to go
someone
berserk.
follow me around?
If you want.
This is what she does. She's like, let's go berserk. Actually, hold on.
Can we just start with the training program?
No, it's. I think getting all this information, it'd be wild to see what you could collect.
I want to be really clear, though. I was joking earlier, in case someone tuned out for a second. You don't need any of this to get better. Nobody has to spend $1 on a blood panel to ever have huge improvements in their mental health, physical health. None of this is required. I don't want to put up any unnecessary barriers to entry for anyone's nutrition or sleep or anything like that. But then you didn't ask me that. You asked me if you want to go berserk, what would I do? When we have people come in and they have $100 million contracts on the line, $600 million contracts on the line, when I have to exit my company or my company's going to, whatever the case is, I'm going to lose my marriage. This has to get fixed. That's what we built this. We said if somebody had to absolutely win, we just got done with the Paris Olympics, right? These people got, most of them, one shot, and you got 4 years, and this changes their lives, the trajectories of their lives. What would you do? This is what we do.
You
Okay.
would go berserk if that was your.
We go berserk, right? So this is exactly, if you're into it, like this is what we do. We want to run full clinical grade, FDA approved sleep studies in your bedroom every single night. I'm not sending you to a stupid hospital or a clinic to get a weird wires put all over your head. We're going to run these technologies in your house, in your bedroom. And I don't want it the one night or 2 night. Again, I want it when you were traveling. I want it when you had a great day, on your Sunday, on your Wednesday. We want all of these things.
Huh.
So now not only do I have what you look like in the short term, but I also see what happens throughout the month or the 6 weeks or however long it sort of takes. All those data then come back to me and our team, and we analyze it. And what we look for are your most severe performance anchors. What are the things that are dragging you down in your physiology? What are those brakes that are on your system? Because then this allows us to give you a very specific and short list of things you have to go do. So we do an enormous amount on the front end of data collection so that I can give you very precise and very simple solutions.
What are the most common denominators? Let's say there's someone listening that wants to change their life but can't afford what you're doing. What are the common denominators that you see? What are the prescription that's common?
Okay, the most common performance anchors we're going to see are the ones that are not generally going to motivate people. I'll say this earlier, but you can spend a ton of money. And we always joke, like, it's not very common, but it has happened where people will do this entire process. They'll come back and I'll be like, okay, great. You need a multivitamin and a fucking therapist. Sometimes we try to make it really simple. There are a million things we can do, but what are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that are going to be the most impactful for you? The real power there is we take the guesswork out. So no one has to sit there wondering like, God, I wonder if there's mold in my house. Maybe that's why I'm doing this thing. But I wonder if my hormones are up. Well, great. What would happen to you if I said objectively, we tested thousands of biomarkers and you don't have any toxins going on? Your hormones are fine. Imagine the power there of going, it is just your mental health, or it is just you're not exercising, or you're not saying. Sometimes it can be very, very simple. And now people can leave that wondering of going, God, well, like I'd like to go full in on this training program, but like I feel like there's something wrong and I don't know if that's gone. There's no more wondering if maybe you have some pathogen in your body, maybe your gut microbiome's all messed up. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
So you're selling peace of mind.
Totally. We're selling no more questions, no more guessing. Oh, I want to answer your actual question though. Like, what are the most common things to actually do? It is really the very fundamental principles, and everyone can do these for free. You do not need a single one of our tests. You don't have to have our absolute rest come out and do a fancy sleep test on you. Are you sleeping reasonably well? Are you seeing sunlight reasonably often? Do you have positive social relationships? Do you feel connected and have purpose? Are you drinking a reasonable amount of water? Do you have some sort of caloric control? Do you have high quality foods? And do you have a movement practice? You don't need to pay $1 for any of those things. If everyone in the world did that, pick your stat here, but virtually statistically 100% of people would be healthier by doing that. So it does not need to be complicated. That said, if you're like, I've tried that shit. I did the diet. I did 4 different diets. It hasn't been working. That's when I would say, okay, if you had to pick one place, I'd probably, and you had, say, $1,000 or $1,500 you could spend, that's when I'd say, okay, maybe get the sleep study done, or maybe get the blood work done, which people can do just kind of at those price points. That would be a good starting point. And the blood work for sure is going to tell us the big area to go after and can be very specific with supplementation or lifestyle or food. It's all done for you.
Whoever invents getting blood without having to take blood.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, I do.
How?
Oh, no, that's the thing.
It is?
Oh, yeah. I can't say like too much right now, but that technology already exists.
It's coming.
Whoever invents that.
Okay.
What's your deal with blood?
I have a really weird, let him diagnose me.
No.
I have a really weird
I'm billing you for therapy.
thing about someone taking my blood. It feels very invasive to me. There's something about someone physically putting a needle in my arm and taking blood. It doesn't feel
You realize
natural.
I've done thousands of muscle biopsies on people where I put a giant needle in their leg and rip out muscle.
Oh.
No, I don't. That's
doesn't bother us, the
even
blood.
less. I'd rather almost have that than the blood.
Well,
it's something about the blood.
Maybe
it's
then
kind
we
of
would
like
skip.
it's kind of like the same thing when like I feel like you're taking my time to ask Dr. Andy about strength training.
I don't
It's
need to
kinda
go into my
It's like that.
childhood trauma.
I would be remiss. Lauren, pipe down for a second. I would be remiss.
I love you guys. By the way. This is great.
If I didn't talk and we didn't talk to you about strength training, hypertrophy, muscle building. We have been talking about this topic on the show a lot more as of recent, and a lot more women are being brought into this conversation. Lauren got into strength training a few years ago and it's changed her life. And you're the guy to talk to this about. So basics, the do's and don'ts of strength training. If you could say, hey, you're just getting started, this is what I would prescribe to just start going, and the benefits of starting to incorporate strength training into your life?
Okay, start at a reasonable pace. Don't get hurt. The biggest key to seeing benefits from strength training is consistency over large periods of time. Don't expect results in the immediate first few weeks. If you get them, fine. But if you don't, doesn't mean you're failing. Just get moving forward. Don't worry about whether or not you know how to use the equipment or not. In fact, a real key I like to say here is if you're going to specifically a commercial gym or a local gym, and you walk in and you think, I don't know what I'm doing, and you're terrified and you're scared, you have to realize everyone in there is you or was you a few weeks ago, and nobody cares.
Everyone's thinking about themselves.
Nobody gives a shit. I do not care, right? This is what I do for a living. When I go into those commercial gyms, think about it for me. I'm surely, this is going to sound terrible, but if I go to a commercial gym, I'm going to get recognized, right?
Yep.
And they're going to know who I am, and they're going to look, and they're going to watch me lift weights and go, damn, he's weak. Because they're benching more than I am or whatever, right? So I have to live with that thing. So it makes me go, I don't want to go to gym because for sure, no matter what I'm doing, everyone there is going to judge me because they know I'm supposed to be this, world famous. Okay. I don't care. I do not. I gave up on that a long time ago, right? If you're not even famous like me for this field, because I'm very famous, clearly, super famous, nobody really cares. Second point on that, there are employees there who are literally paid to help you out. I promise you, if you walk up to the front desk and simply say, this is my first day, I've never worked out before or lifted weights, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, can somebody help me? They're not going to look at you and be like, oh my God, get out of this gym. It's going to be the opposite. They're going to be like, hell yeah. They're there to help you. It's horrible. It feels daunting, all that. But just ask someone for help. They're going to get you on the right path. So my first do is get into the gym. Whether you sit on the machines and you take 5 minutes the first day to figure out how the damn machine actually even works, and then you realize you're using it wrong or backwards, it doesn't matter. Leave after your 45 minutes. It's still progress. The next day you come in, you'll kind of remember it, and we'll get moving forward, right? So just don't put yourself in a position where you're going to get so sore or injured that you're going to miss time. Learn, develop. Like, think of it like if you were to be building a business or buying a house or starting a relationship. Like, it is clunky as hell for the first few, but it's the progress that matters. It doesn't matter if your program is perfect or is it optimal, or none of that stuff matters for most people. Just get going, establish, you said earlier, establish the habit, establish the pattern, establish the routine, worry about precision later. For most people, I would say if we can start you at 2 days a week, I'll take it. I'd love 4, that'd be ideal, but I will negotiate down to 2 if I have to. If you're going to be at 1, probably let's figure out something else to do.
What's a high achiever though? Like, what's your wow, that person's serious?
I mean, I would consider somebody serious at 2 days a week.
Okay.
Wait,
For
but
sure.
stay on this. So Lauren, I've been, my methodology, my method that I've chosen for exercise most of my life outside of sports, but most that I come back to is strength training and weightlifting. It's just what I learned early and what I fell in love with. And as I've gotten older and gone through the years, I realized like when I was a kid, maybe you could do 5-7 days a week, but I can't do that anymore. And now what I go for is I try to go 4 solid days a week and allow recovery time. What I tell her sometimes is, when you've blasted every muscle group and you're just going and going and going, like that recovery period, in my personal opinion, maybe disagree, is important to build muscle and important to build strength. And you might want to do a different methodology, maybe running or walking or some type of training in between. I
think that's reasonable advice. Yeah.
Okay.
If 4 days a week is viable for you, 4 days a week would be great. But I would, if someone is training appropriately, you could get and there's plenty of research to show this, you can get plenty of stuff done in 2 days a week. So I'd still consider that person serious or whatever you'd say. Would I think you'd probably get the optimal results at 2 days a week? I don't think so, but people have done it. People have won world championships in bodybuilding at that kind of a frequency. It's probably not the best starting place. So I think 3 is the number that makes the most sense for most people. I'm like you, I'm definitely closer to 5, if not more.
Same.
But
same.
Well, you see, that's what he thinks, that I train too much.
How many days do you lift?
I like to lift 4 to 5 days a week.
No. You try to go more than that. But
And then
no.
I do classical Pilates one day and
Okay.
like either classical Pilates or like a Melissa Wood Health.
No, you're altering. What I say sometimes is it's okay to allow a recovery period and do something different if you've already blasted that muscle group, just to give it
He
that
thinks I'm training too much.
Yeah, okay. Well, it would depend on exactly what you're doing and how you're putting your workouts together and your recovery capacity. Look, here's the reality. I've coached Olympians in the sport of Olympic weightlifting. I've coached girls who have broken over 25 world records in powerlifting, and they will train twice a day. They'll strength train twice a day, every day, basically. It can clearly be done, and you can clearly get stronger there. Now, there's a lot of things going on there. A decade of experience going into it, very high level coaches,
diet.
lots of things going on. For the average person, I'd say that's a bad idea. I think your advice for the average person is great, and
Yeah,
we can
what-
get
what-
there.
So we're kind of both right.
I'm thinking of
That-
the.
if I had to flip a coin, I'd probably say he's more right on this point.
He's going to be so happy.
But
No,
I
well,
don't know your situation.
I'm thinking of the person who is like, I want to get into weightlifting,
Yeah.
and I haven't really done it before, and I want to get started, and I don't want to get overwhelmed. I think it's damning when people come on and say, get in there 7 days a week or
That's
5.
not a good approach.
You know what I mean? Because you're just, it's so overwhelming to so many people. It's just like I want to give somebody that's getting started from your perspective a solid prescription for them to get going.
I think, again, anywhere between 2 to 4 for the average person is going to be a pretty good starting spot. What I would do for you would be looking more like, well, why are we training that often? What's the point of doing it 6 to 7 days a week? What are we trying to get accomplished?
One thing I take very seriously is my oral health. I have had too many podcast guests on this show come on and talk about the importance of your oral microbiome. So every morning, you guys know, I wake up, I scrape my tongue, and now I use a Dentex tongue cleaner. This is like it's like a whole habit stack. So it's the oral brush tongue cleaner, and it's known to freshen breath. And basically what it is it's like micro pointed bristles that reach into those uneven crevices of your tongue, and it loosens and lifts bacteria. While sometimes the scraper can just collect it and remove it, this is going to loosen and lift. So I think like together, it's a real gem. The bristles are designed after a surgeon's scrub brush, which is an interesting fact. The 2-in-1 bristles lift bacteria while the scraper removes it. Like I said, it's by Dentec. I bought 6 of them, not even joking. I could not even wait. I went on Amazon and overnighted them to myself. I was so excited when I heard about this product. If you're someone who is a grinder or you clench their jaw, you can also check out Dentex Guards. This is going to help ease the pain from clenching and grinding. And also it's known to help prevent conditions caused by teeth grinding, including jaw aches, tooth chipping, cracking, and headaches. They really have it covered when it comes to oral health. Dentec is available at multiple retailers, including Target, Walgreens, Walmart, and Amazon. I got all my goodies on Amazon. It was so seamless and easy. Dentec, the brand to help you take charge of your oral health care. Who doesn't want a real fruit soda that's organic and made with real squeezed fruits? Never from concentrate, it also has no added sugar and contains pre- and probiotics to support digestive and immune health. Let me tell you about Evolution Fresh Real Fruit Soda. Okay, this is so fun. So first, it comes in 5 delicious flavors. I personally am a fan of the tropical mango. They also have strawberry vanilla, or Michael's favorite, orange squeeze, and they have lemon and lime and berry burst. So you can kind of pick which one you like. What I like about this, though, is it only has 5 grams of sugar. So it's a really great swap to make you feel better about having a soda without sacrificing the taste. I actually heard about this brand through someone that I work with. And when I tried it, I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. It tastes so good. Telling you, the tropical mango. If you're looking for it, you can find it at Kroger's, Ralph's, Albertsons, Safeway, Pavilions. They even have it at Publix. And it's in the refrigerator near the produce section at many national retailers. So definitely check out Evolution's Fresh Real Fruit Soda, a new, better-for-you soda that's delicious and refreshing. Visit www.sodajustgotreal.com to learn more about Evolution Fresh Real Fruit Soda and find a store near you. That's sodajustgotreal.com. I have been making my mom's pumpkin roll recipe since I was little. I do it with my daughter now. And a key ingredient of this pumpkin roll is Philadelphia cream cheese. You've got to use this specific brand. It just makes everything creamier. But what I do is I make a cream cheese frosting and then I line the delicious, hot, warm pumpkin bread with this specific cream cheese frosting. And I am telling you, it is a delight in your mouth. My kids look forward to this. I make this as a treat all the time, especially in the fall. I add some nutmeg to it, a couple walnuts on top. But what really makes it is this Philadelphia cream cheese. There's so many viral recipes on TikTok that you can go and find where Philadelphia can enhance the dish or make it creamier. You could do like a dip situation. You could use it to enhance your guacamole, make a creamy pasta Alfredo, or even a buffalo chicken dip. You can get creative with it. But this, as you know, is the nostalgic best brand of cream cheese. It's been around forever. It's tried and true. It's one that I have had since I was a little girl. But most importantly, you've got to go on my blog and you've got to check out this pumpkin roll. It's so good. If there's anyone that knows creamy, it's Philadelphia cream cheese. It's extremely versatile and can be used to enhance any meal, snack, or anything in between. Philadelphia makes everything creamier. Visit creamcheese.com for recipe inspiration and so you can start adding Philadelphia to your recipes at home. Visit creamcheese.com. I am someone that likes to do the same thing every day. Meaning I like my routine. And I also notice that it releases something in me, whether it's dopamine or serotonin, where I'm almost maybe a little bit addicted to it.
Yeah. This is what I was getting at. when people train like that, there's a reason. Yeah. It's serving a purpose that's not the same purpose that's serving you, right? Like you're getting there because you want the actual strength gains and the blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, this is not what we're after here. So we would come backwards really and say, all right, what are we getting out of this thing? And we would actually be able to figure this out physiologically. A really good example of this is your breath rate. So a lot of folks, this is not going to make a ton of sense, but a lot of folks that are over breathing, so you're breathing too frequently, and we would analyze this. You don't feel normal until you're actually doing something at an elevated heart rate.
Huh.
Because now your respiration actually matches metabolic demand.
Does cold plunging do that too?
Of course.
That's why I can't stop with the cold plunge.
Of course, right?
I can't, it's...
You did that thing for 4 minutes straight at
I can't. I have I think I have an addiction.
It's about normal. It's okay. 4 minutes is 4 to 5 minutes is a general spot that we'll do daily.
I just if I could do it every day, I would do it every day.
Yeah.
So there's something with my breathing maybe.
It's not necessarily the breathing. The breathing is simply a cue that says there's something in the physiological system that is saying we need stimuli. Anxiety and depression, as blanket terms, are on the opposite of the spectrum here, right? One of them needs energy. One of them is actually demanding energy release. And so we're looking over here going, all right, if I see a breath rate that is elevated, like a nocturnal breath rate, respiratory rate of do you guys have any sort of tracking that you do overnight?
I do the Whoop once a quarter. I'll go, okay. I'll stop and then I'll go into it. But it makes me neurotic.
If you were in our full system, we would have these data on you, right? And I would look at how much you're breathing at night. We'd also look at this during the day. We'd look at other markers like your heart rate variability, and we would get a sense of where your autonomic nervous system is. How far down sympathetic drive are you versus parasympathetic drive? How much time you're spending in each day throughout that, right? Based on what I know about you and our interactions today, I would probably say you're probably pretty touched a little bit high on the sympathetic drive. Kind of go, very motivated, very action, really getting after stuff, right? What that means is your heart rate's probably a little bit elevated throughout the day. Your heart rate's a little bit elevated throughout the day, right? And you feel uneasy. Again, I'm playing armchair psychologist, even though I'm not a psychologist, but we've just seen this so many times. You don't feel right or normal until your physical activity actually matches that energy demand.
That's exactly how it is. There's an intensity that needs to be released for me to have clarity.
Right. And if I sat you in a chair all day and said, we're going to have to do, some Zoom meetings and...
No.
Okay, right.
No.
Not going to happen. Cool. We have two options then. One, we have to burn that energy. You're not going to feel normal until that physical energy is burned.
Exactly what this is.
If you sit a kid, in our examples, you see the problem I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's almost, what's really interesting? I'm do I have ADHD?
I don't know, who knows, but from my language, from our coaching practice, we have an energy mismatch.
Yeah.
That's all it is, right? Medical terms, I don't know, I don't care. but we have an energy mismatch. So we either need to bring up your physical activity or we need to bring down your sympathetic drive, or a combination of both.
Huh. So do you think me getting more physical activity would actually make it
Not
be?
necessarily, because this could be causing the problem to
So you're
begin
saying
with.
this could be your sympathetic issue?
So how do I bring my sympathetic nervous system
Okay,
down?
great. We need to read and regulate. This is the two terms. This is classic Emily Hightower, shift, adapt. Fantastic stuff. We need to get you to a spot where you can read and regulate. You read your own internal physiology, and then you get the ability to regulate it.
Okay.
So all I'm giving you is the control. Realize how fast you're going, and then give you the gears to say, I want to go this fast. Cool. Like, we're working right now. We're getting shit done. That is a superpower that I don't want to dull away. I don't want to like bring it down artificially. I just want to make sure you realize what speed you're in, and then you have the ability to go, yeah, this is go time, or no, this is throttle back time, right? When is it serving me? When is it not? So read it, understand it, and then regulate it. How can we do this thing? It is simple thing of realizing what your breath rate is doing anything. Realizing where you're at. Are you focused right now? Are you all over the place? Are you feeling like you got to get something done when we don't need to get done? Are you present? Or are you worrying about paying attention to something down the road when we shouldn't be? It is those things that we would go after, and you might start to realize, oh yeah, okay, really, I do have this thing. Whenever I sit down for one meeting, I feel like I have to go. Why? Is that better or worse after you train? Probably a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah, it's
so
way better.
now let's not put you in a situation where we're starting our day at 7:30 a.m. meetings.
Right.
We're just asking for disaster.
Right. Which this is so interesting that you say this, because the COO of the Skinny Confidential has talked at length with the person that schedules me, and she's like, don't have Lauren be like on a call when she's driving to training. Like, she knows how to make sure that I'm sort of set up for success.
Totally have to, right?
Yeah.
Second thing we have to do then is, again, your sleep data would tell us all this stuff, right? But we want to see, when do you get down regulated? Now, I don't know anything about your guys' work and life schedule stuff.
8:30
a.m. or p.m.?
p.m.
When do you get down regulated?
Meaning like I start to wind down.
Okay, great. What about during the day? Okay, that's a problem.
When do I get down regulated? I don't think we get down regulated during the day.
Right.
Do you?
You might not need it.
No, I don't get.
He runs completely opposite of me.
Right.
You and I are completely opposite. Whatever it is, it's opposite.
Of course, right.
The way you run.
So we would be able to actually, like, we have metrics behind this stuff. We'd be able to see. So you might need active down regulation throughout the day.
So you're saying to create space in my calendar where I take a walk, where I read a book.
And not just take a walk. We're going to take a walk, and we're not going to have earpods in.
Yeah.
We're not working. We're not listening to podcasts. We're not listening to music.
Oh, that's what do you call it? Like active multitasking?
No, I do this thing called passively multitasking.
Where if she takes that walk, she's got to be like
the audience is
No.
like,
This is the same problem, right? Because you have to be doing, right?
yeah, I'm a doer.
Of course. Again, I don't want to take that superpower
I don't
away.
like wasting time.
Totally get it. Don't want that power to go away. We just want a little control, and for you to recognize, ooh, I'm in a spot now where I shouldn't be doing this. Now I have the capacity to gear down.
Oh, okay. And how do I do that? Just breathe?
No, not just breathe at all.
Okay.
It's very intentional. So if you're again, I'm making this up. If you're in a state where you're consistently over breathing because you're in sympathetic drive, right? You're in a little bit of cortisol release. This is going to kick a little bit of adrenaline up, and you're over breathing. What that means is you're kicking out more CO2 than you are breathing in O2.
Which is why when I mouth tape at night, I feel so amazing the next morning.
So, like, can you just set the point up for me perfectly?
Mouth taping's changed my life.
Yeah. Have you mouth taped?
No, he won't listen to me.
No. But
I don't know if he needs to. Is the point?
His mouth's open a little bit.
It doesn't matter.
I'm more of a nose breather.
Right, exactly. So now when you're taping your mouth, you're seeing such a dramatic response because of it. So now we're going to go on that walk, and we're going to say, all right, let's do some basic math. If, let's say, you're breathing at 15 breaths per minute, that's not clinically elevated. They're going to tell you normal is 12 to 20. I can tell you right now, 15 is not always, but for you, at your size, your physical fitness, your body composition, 15 is too high. What 15 is let's do some math. 2-second inhale, a 2-second exhale. That's 4 seconds. You would get 15 of those done in a minute window. 15
so it's
times 4.
Slowing my breathing down.
Not slowing your breathing.
Okay.
We're getting to something very intentional. If we put you at 15 breaths per minute, you would feel very normal.
That seems fast though, still, right?
It is.
Yeah, that seems like I was like thinking.
So
that's
what you're
going
to do? Why? You're going to move and do shit to get your energy expenditure up to a place that is supposed to be making you breathe at 15 breaths per minute. When you're not moving, but you're breathing there, you feel dysfunctional and dysregulated because you are. You're breathing like you're moving slowly, but you're not moving slowly, so you feel fucked up. And when you move, it comes up and it matches, right? And if I make you stop and come back down, now you're just like, can't do there. So we need to stop the activity and bring the breath rate down, which is we're going to go for that walk, which is a very light level activity, and we're going to cap your breathing. And you're going to learn to breathe to match energy expenditure. A 2-second inhale, a 2-second exhale. And that's all you're going to pay attention to. Then when you stop the physical activity, your breath rate will come down.
So all I do is take a walk for like 20 minutes and go
10.
10.
Give me
Okay.
10.
And
Whatever
I
you got.
breathe in for 2 seconds, out for 2 seconds.
And that's all
That's
you're
all
paying
I do.
attention. Yeah, we would maybe play it. Maybe we do 3 and 3. 3-second inhale, 3-second exhale.
And this is it's for Michael and I, it's a mismatch in the morning because I'm not clear. Like I feel like I need to clean my windshield wipers unless I cold plunge or I work out. He talks to me about stuff and I can't even concentrate
Right.
on what he's saying, and he's running at a speed of
Just seen this a lot of times. My intuition here is going to tell me there's suboptimal sleep happening on your part. Yeah, because think about it. If you're going all day like that, and then you're walking into bed, you're tired because you burned gas all day. So you probably have no problem falling asleep, do you?
Nope.
Yeah, great. Why would you? Your gas pedal's down all day. You're out, right? You wake up in the middle of the night. Hard time going back to sleep if you wake up?
yeah. I wake
Don't
up.
lie. You
I'm
get
not-
that Kindle out and you start reading.
I wake up about 3.
I mean, could I plan this any better? I know you. You're going to fall asleep because you're exhausted.
I told her the other day, she said she sleeps 10 hours. I was like, I don't think you're sleeping quality through the night
No,
because
okay, that's another sign. You legitimately sleep 10 hours?
I can sleep for 10 hours.
You can sleep, or do you?
I like to sleep for 9 hours a night.
Okay, great. It doesn't necessarily on its surface mean anything, but with all the data points here, we can connect enough dots there. Why? You're definitely not getting enough rest and recovery in those hours. You have to extend your hours, right? You shouldn't have to sleep that much unless you're training like
So
bananas
because
hard.
my breath is not getting enough it's called CO, what's it, oxygen? What's it
Well,
called
oxygen.
up your nose? Because it's not getting enough of that throughout the day, I can
No,
fall
no.
asleep.
No, so here's what it is.
Explain.
It's not, those are not the things. Those are just the signals that are telling me what's actually happening in your physiology. So in reality, what's going on is you are driving sympathetic the entire day, right? This is going to be a little bit of cortisol elevation. How's your hunger throughout the day?
Ever since I started eating protein, it's not bad.
Not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
But what before eating protein, I used to not eat enough protein. It was a nightmare.
And what would happen? How would you feel if you missed a meal?
Okay, I'd be fine.
Okay. That's fantastic.
I'd be okay.
Typically we see the opposite, right? Because we have so much glucose dysregulation. It's like I miss a meal or I get smashing mood up and down.
Maybe mood up and down.
That's going to be a part of it. But you're going to sleep at night very easily because you are exhausted. Your brain was going, your physical body was going, and
Yeah.
caloric expenditure is super, super high. However, you're not actually downregulated. You're still buzzing at level 20. So what happens a few hours into sleep? Any little sleep disturbance, boom, you're up. And now the engine will not shut off cognitively. It's a wrap now, right? Now we have to get Kindle out. We have to do these other things. We've got to go other things. This is a function of never truly being downregulated. So we need to build in for you, we need to have a post-exercise 5-minute downregulation. We also need to have a post-meeting or whatever the thing that you hate the most throughout your day, downregulation.
So what happens is I'm being booked back to back to back to back on calls, and there's no downgrade.
Who do you work for?
Myself. I don't know sometimes, actually. Who
Okay, so I
the
thought.
fuck do I work for?
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Right.
so I
It's a
need to
non-nego-
build it in.
It's a non-negotiable. You also have to have an active, this is going to sound crazy, but you have to have an active downregulation routine at night.
Okay.
Not because this is a huge mistake. Like, I don't need to downregulate at night. I fall right asleep. Sure. But you fall asleep, your breath rate is elevated. I guarantee your resting heart rate's not low enough at all. And you're overly sympathetically driven. And so you fall asleep because of the exhaustion. But again, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night often. And if you do wake up at all, you're going to have a hard time going back to sleep because you're on wire still. Right.
So when I do go back to sleep, like let's say I wake up at 3, I go back to bed at 3:45, and then I'm sleeping until 7.
Yep.
What does that mean? It just means that I woke up because of
Most
okay,
likely. This
So
is just functional sleep.
literally
And
all
the sleep quality is not where it needs to be.
literally all I need to do though, it sounds like, is to do the 2 inhales, 2 exhales, 10 minutes a day, and after calls and after workouts.
You need to down regulate.
I would do that walking thing 1 to 3 times per day
Okay, but you
Do
need to
whatever
be
you want.
walking while you do it.
for that particular protocol.
Okay.
Walking could be doing whatever. But then I would have a very different protocol for you that is very specifically an active more down regulation. This is an extended exhale. This is
Okay.
not the even sort of match.
Okay.
This is giving back to the parasympathetic system. So right now, your buffer between sympathetic and parasympathetic is tiny.
Do you
We
like
need to
Wim
expand that.
Hof?
No, for you that would be a very bad idea.
Okay. I do it
really
all the
bad
time.
idea. Yeah. How do you do the Wim Hof style of?
You
You-
hyperventilate.
It's hyperventilation.
So you don't like
You're
that.
already hyperventilating all day. This is literally the opposite of what you need.
So what? How do I find something that's like I like something guided?
Lauren, it's why you like the sauna at night without the cold plunge. So you incorporate the cold plunge, you're hyperventilating more. But when you do the sauna alone, you down regulate. Do you get it?
Bingo.
You're doing
So-
you're doing
you were
things to
you were the
spike, but you're
opposite
spiked.
candidate for like literally the worst possible person to do a hyperventilation breathwork protocol.
Okay, so what's if
It's just gonna
someone's
light you up
listening
even
and they're
more,
like, I'm like Lauren, what should they Google to do a guided breath?
There are a billion other options. Any down regulation,
It's called down regulation
Yeah.
breath.
we will use a bunch through Shift Adapt. That company has a bunch of stuff up there. Again, Emily Hightower has a whole bunch of stuff on here. If you like NSDR stuff, you can do it. If you like Yoga Nidra, you can do it. If you like pranayama, there's a bunch of different breathwork protocols. If you don't want to do any of that stuff and you want to close your eyes and you want to put on massage music and you want to close your mouth and just relax for 5 minutes, that will probably do it.
Which is why I feel so good after I meditate.
Okay.
I'm addicted to meditation.
Of course you are.
Like I could meditate for
Yeah,
2 hours straight.
for sure, right?
Yeah.
And this is because it's bringing you finally down.
Like a meditation if he interrupts me, it's like and he's different. He doesn't get the same thing I get.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah. So like we will use a lot of time, we will use Sam Harris's Waking Up
Okay.
app for people that have never meditated. That's sort of like a first intro course. If you like some, fine, doesn't matter, right? The magic is not in the protocol. It's in what are we trying to get done. And so if you did that routine I said earlier and you're like, it's not feeling me, okay, fine. We'll find a different one. You want a different script to follow. Great. You want a different app to follow. Fine. It doesn't matter. But what matters is in those down regulation pieces, you're having that extended exhale.
So
And what you don't want to do, sorry, don't lose your point, but what the worst case scenario for you would be is wake up in the morning, hard charge into meeting, hard charge into this type of stuff. Then you go do your training. Do you take many stimulants?
No.
Caffeine. Okay.
I do a cup of coffee.
Okay. Zero. Right. Great. But we did that thing. You went and did your hard workout. You came right back. Then you went right into more meetings. Then we went right into Wim Hof, and then you did your ice bath, and like you can just see the points.
it's too many stimulants over and over
Way
and
up.
over.
Like you're way up there, but you're doing it because that's what's going to make you actually feel at peace when we need to build resilience on the other side, which is throttling back down.
Sauna,
If that helps you bring down, fine.
down regulation breath.
Oftentimes
walking.
it does, yeah.
Okay.
Some people get lit up by the sauna though. So you just have to pay attention.
I feel like I relax after the sauna.
Great, do it. This is the core of what I said, read and regulate.
I love podcasts and the information, but I think people do themselves a disservice by there's so much information and so many experts out there, but people sometimes they have a hard time listening to what they actually need.
Yeah.
For example, we talked about Wim Hof, and Wim Hof's been on the show. I think his breath work
I've
could
known
be
him for a decade.
yeah, it could be amazing for some people.
Sure.
It could be a disaster for other people, right? I think that certain method, like cold plunge for some people, could be amazing, could be terrible for some. Like I think people need to really get in tune with who they are and what they need.
Like ice bath is a really easy example of we'll use it. I've had them for over a decade or longer. We've been playing around with this stuff for a very long time. Good example. I coach Travis Barker from the drummer, and one of the things he figured out real fast is if he gets he loves the ice bath, does it every day, right? If he gets into the ice bath post concert, it's a wrap. He's not going to go to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, man, you can't go play a rock concert and then
Too high.
right? So we learned though pre-concert, super effective. So we just put it in the right position for him. When he's at home, we do it at a different time. In his particular case, in the evening, it's going to wire him up. For me, If I get into the ice bath before bed, it is going to do nothing but positive things.
That's how I feel.
If I get in the ice bath
Is
before
that-
bed, I'm completely done. I
Is
can't
that
sleep
what
all
you
night.
would
Yeah.
guess for me if I do an ice bath with
Almost-
the sauna?
Almost surely not.
What, you think it's not good for me?
I would be willing, if I was coaching you, we would be negotiating on this one. I'd be willing to let you experiment with it. I don't know, but it wouldn't be my first starting place probably. But if you think that intuition-wise it's helping you downregulate, I'd believe you. I'd say, let's see some data.
But only with sauna. If I do it without sauna, forget it.
No, I would believe all realities there.
Okay.
I'd believe all possibilities because we do have our athletes do it a lot post-game.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we're in season. So post an NFL game, an ice bath can do some serious wonders.
Based off what you know about me just from this podcast, when would you put the ice bath in my day?
I might not. Like we might not have it in there.
Ugh.
I think what
Oh.
you're looking for, Lauren, is like you got to be careful that to his point, you're looking for this release to kind of like upregulate to match what he's talking about.
That's
and you might
interesting.
need to.
When I put you in the ice, though, we would have restrictions.
Like?
We would be 100% timing breath.
Huh.
Do you pay attention to anything with your breath when you get in the ice?
No.
All right. Then the rule would be you're not getting the ice unless we're regulating breath.
Okay, so I have been using it as an energy, so I need to regulate my breath while I'm
Bingo.
in it.
It is we use it more for that, for literally diaphragmatic control, teaching control of breathing, as well as like CO2 tolerance and other things like that, or perception, because I can put you in a situation where you're going to have every alarm bell in your body going off, and now I need you to control your response.
Huh.
So if I did that same thing, like in the case of trauma, like psychological trauma, I'm not a mental health specialist, so I'm not going to then have talk therapy and things like that where I'm going to put you psychologically back in a tough spot. But I can put you in the ice. And now we can get a physiological stressor, which is the same thing. Like allostatic load is the same. You're still stressed to your mind, but it's in an environment you can step out of. I'm not bringing up past trauma where I'm out of my scope and I don't know what I'm sort of doing there. But I can put you in that ice. In your case, I could put you in that ice and say, great, we're going to work on controlling breath. And we're going to keep our breath rate at a lower response, even though you're actually in a situation where breath rate should be high because the alarm bells are going off of survival.
So would you breathe in for 2 and out for 2? Is that how you regulate it?
Maybe not do that cadence, but we would have some cadence we would do. We would probably extend them much
What
longer.
does extendum mean?
We would do something more like a 5 second instead of
Okay.
a 2-2.
5 and 5.
Something like that, maybe.
A lot of women and men listening to this, the topic of bulking and putting size on versus strength.
Yep.
I want you to distinguish between the difference when it comes to strength training. If somebody if Taylor back there is trying to gain muscle and weight and size and have his muscles look bigger. Some
Yeah.
people just want to get more dense and more strong.
Sure.
To train, it's very different training for the two results, correct?
Go over a handful of terminologies here first.
Okay.
Number one, you can absolutely have the ability to make your physique look however you like, for the most part. You have a lot of control. Now, that might require a high level of coaching and expertise, but from the starting place, do you have the ability to gain muscle and make it look longer or leaner or dense? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, that's been established. When we say things like, I don't want to get big and bulky, very unlikely to actually happen. So we don't really need to worry about that. Maybe we'll simply regulate.
Why unlikely to happen? Because I think, again, we talked about this a lot of women think if I start lifting weights, I'm going to get big and bulky like the guys in the gym.
Right. It's just building muscle is hard.
Yeah, no shit.
It takes a long time and you have to have many factors right.
If I'm coming to you and I say, okay, I'll just use bench press. I'm bench pressing 100 pounds and I want to bench press 125 pounds, but I don't want to get the bulkier. I don't want to look bigger, but I want to get stronger. What would you prescribe as the exercise?
Strength is a skill. This is skill work. What that mean? It's just like when you got better at shooting basketballs or kicking a soccer ball. You just practiced it a lot. That's what we're going to do here. I don't need to take you to exhaustion. We're not throwing up after the workout. We're not getting a big sweat or a big pump. That's not practice. That's a different thing. It's great. It's not practice. So I want you to practice being strong. What that means is if you can lift 100 pounds, let's put 90 on and do it for 2. Let's practice the thing you want to do. A lot of rest in between, a lot of rest in between days, and we're going to do it as frequently as we possibly can. That's effectively what we're after. So conceptually, we just need to practice lifting things that we can't lift or close to it. And so if we're doing a lot of repetitions and we're getting really fatigued, we're not doing it very often, then we're not practicing very often. We're not going to get very good at it. So functionally what this means is do a small number of repetitions per set. So again, 5 or less generally. Do it pretty heavy. Rest a long time in between your
It's
sets.
a long time.
3 minutes, 5 minutes. As long as you need to rest, full recovery, basically.
Okay. Now the opposite of that. Say I want to add 2 inches to my chest and actually get bigger, and I
Yeah.
can lift 100 pounds. What are you? And that's my base. What are you?
You got 1,000 options. One of the reasons why I'm a little bit dissuaded by hypertrophy stuff, because it's kind of idiot proof. You could do sets of 5 or sets of 20 or 25. You could do a giant set. You could do really frequent or infrequent, small rest intervals. High. Like if you train close to muscular failure, to fatigue, you're going to get those 2 inches. You just have to be consistent.
And then that's how it'll grow.
And it'll grow.
Over and over and over.
Yeah, you just give it 6 weeks and like you'll have hit that 2 inches for sure.
So Taylor, you hear that? If you want to go grow your biceps, consistent.
After it. You just have to be, like the thing about hypertrophy, probably the one fundamental aspect that'll come all the way down to the bottom of, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent there because that stimulus requires a lot of energy.
So if you're somebody and you're like, I'm concerned about my biceps or my legs growing, it's unlikely that they will unless you consistently train over and over and over for a long period of
The
time.
average person, yeah. And there's some hyper responders and stuff.
Okay.
And that's where the other variables come in, your sleep and your recovery, nutrition, all that stuff. But yeah, you want consistency over the 6 months. You're going to miss the day, you're going to get sick, you're going to travel and all that stuff, but be as consistent as you can over that big time period. The people that you see on social media and things like that that have gained a lot of muscle, not necessarily the ones that have a lot of muscle, because that could be just a starting point. It's better. But people are like, wow, their physique really changed. They've probably been consistent for a long time. Not perfect. Not perfect. But they've just been consistent over many, many months to years. And that's how you're really going to establish a lot of growth that's sustained.
Yeah, I think like it's funny because Lauren has shared her journey over the last years of weightlifting, and sometimes people write in now seeing the result and like they can't believe it or they think she did some magic thing. But to your point, like I've watched her, it's been 3 years of consistent training week after week after week. It's slow, but it's slow though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that happened in 3 months. It took 3 years.
Do you guys have do you have a personal like strength coach or anyone that does your programming?
We have a trainer.
He just came on the show last week or this week.
And you've been working with that person for the last like 2 or 3 years or whatever.
3 years.
He's a big fan of yours too. Hey, Brett.
Yeah, he's a big fan of yours.
I'm a
he
big fan of his.
It consumes your content, and I went to him not knowing anything about weights. I literally looked at the hashtag Austin Trainer and found him. And
incredible.
It's just it really is just putting, like you said, being consistent and making it a non-negotiable in your day.
Yeah.
But I need to get my breath under control. I'm trying to do it right now. Before you go, I have to ask you this question because there's a lot of women who are listening. When it comes to the thyroid, why are so many women experiencing thyroid problems?
I am not an endocrinologist.
Okay.
So if you legitimately think you have a medical condition or even close, I would strongly encourage one to go check that out. I'm not saying that to dodge the question, but I am saying that because we actually have had that this week with one of our clients, and there was a legitimate thyroid issue going on there that is outside of expertise. So I always want to make sure that we're not extending past expertise. So why is that actually happening? All I can say is in our coaching practice, we have had many women come in who think they have a thyroid issue, and they in reality do not. There are many other things going on that are causing their signs and symptoms to make them feel like they're having it. And really, it's not the core of what's going on. It can be a response. Hormones tend to be signals. They tend to respond. They are very unlikely, unless you actually had a tumor or something actually going on in the thyroid itself. Your thyroid hormones may or may not be doing what they're doing, whatever the case is, because of the thyroid itself. And so I wanted to be really clear to answer that both ways. And that can legitimately happen if you think you're even close to a medical one. It is not an organ rather that I would play with. I would get it imaged. Check it out medically. If that's not the case though, it's not been our experience that is the true problem.
Oh, okay. Well, this episode was full of so many tips, tricks, hacks.
Andy Galpin, you have open invite anytime you want to come back.
I could have talked to you about 100 other things. Where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out. Where can they find everything you do?
They can find me at your guys' studio in Austin again.
Yeah.
Come to Austin.
You know, we like
anytime
to
you come to Austin.
Every time,
Open invite.
we like to have guests on for the first time and kind of give a broad spectrum of topics.
Went all over the place.
But then the next time, I think we can get very specific on some very niche topics.
I think what we should do is maybe perhaps if there was an interesting area here that the audience liked, you guys can tee that up and then hit me with that, and we can spend the whole show on one area and we'll let them pick.
Yeah,
Why
you're
don't
not-
you
you're not just
guys
gonna talk about
why don't you
training.
guys comment on my latest post and tell me what you want to hear more of, and we can do more of a niche episode with
Yeah.
Dr. Andy.
Andy
You got
Galpin,
it.
you're the best, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.